Name a change you've been avoiding. Yes, the one you've tucked away. Whisper it to yourself right now. Good. You've just proved that the heaviest weight in the world is the first step towards action. Give me a quick show of hands. How many of you here have taken a picture that meant nothing at the moment? And how many of you looked at the same picture months or even years later and felt something completely different? A blurry sidewalk, a random coffee mug, a shadow, something you almost deleted. That's how my journey, and maybe even yours, truly begins. In that moment of impact, it's just a click, a tiny mechanical sound. But time pours meaning, and memory adds weight. And suddenly, what was once insignificant becomes unforgettable. I used to think that change was a lightning bolt, sharp, fast, shiny. But that was far from reality. Change mostly begins quietly, very slowly, sometimes even without a mission. For me, it began with a single, unassuming yes. I once agreed to conduct an online session on digital skills. Now, I didn't have a personal manifesto, just a few skills that I had mastered, and a hunch that these might help someone else. So, I spent my evenings learning how to teach Google Forms, slowly realizing that I was learning alongside my future students. That day when I joined the meeting, I saw a grid of 40 users staring right at me. It was a study in contrast. A few of them had joined from the quiet corners of their privacy, and others broadcasted from the hustle bustle of their living rooms. That day, when we navigated through all those digital skills, the air somehow changed. I felt their questions go from, hey, how do I click this? To what do I build with this? That day, I realized something very important. Curiosity became an electric part of the session. I realized that knowledge is best shared collectively. I stopped being an instructor. I became a part of a collective. I realized that this is how change makers are born. They are backed by peers, by mentors, by teachers who are ready to pull up a chair to create space at the table for someone new. Armed with that insight, I created multiple programs at the intersection of digital literacy and entrepreneurship. I also worked with Atal Innovation Mission Niti Aayog, the Government of India. I impacted 90,000 students through 100 plus original learning resources created by a team of 50 amazing students all across India. But slowly but steadily, I realized that I wasn't just helping them build a business, but helping them build a confidence in themselves. I witnessed a profound shift, the shift from students consuming content to taking ownership of it, from passive learning to the pursuit of building something new. For me, entrepreneurship is all about perspective. It's the ability to see a bridge where everyone else sees a canyon. It's the choice to care a few minutes more than what is convenient. Think about it. Every community, school, office, a building moves forward only when someone decided to lean in, when it was easier to stand back. True change begins only when you know that participation means a lot more than observing from the sidelines. All of this and my entire journey led me to a new horizon, neurodiversity. For a really long time, I felt myself immersed in the stories of educators and teachers who had worked all their lives with parents and children with diverse learning needs. I did not wait to expect a lack of passion. Instead, I was greeted with a tragedy of isolation. I saw brilliant, exhausted students trying to solve problems in their own parts of world. But I soon realized that they were working on parallel tracks, moving at 80 kilometers an hour, but just never meeting. They thought they were being helpful, but they were just never talking to each other. Now, let me tell you something a little awkward. It surprised me too. Most systems don't fail because people aren't trying. They fail because everyone's solving the same problem, just in isolation. They are solving the same puzzle. They have different pieces, but just aren't able to share those and create the puzzle. Slowly, I realized that we had to solve that problem. So, this is where research came in. In 2018, researchers from the University of Pennsylvania conducted a study on committed minorities. For years, or rather centuries, we have believed that we need a majority, 51%, to bring a change in our culture. But data shows us something very different. When a committed minority pushing for change is less than 25% of the total group, their efforts just aren't noticed. But that number, as soon as that number reaches 25%, we noticed a great change in the group's dynamic. It led to the majority seeking answers and accepting the new norm. So, I stopped asking the classic question everyone asks: how do I scale this? Because that question was just not useful anymore. Instead, I started asking a much more important question: where is effort being duplicated for no reason? Then, I started building bridges. I stopped building new frameworks and new programs. Bridges not made of steel or cement, but those connections between mentors and students, just in different cities, between two veteran teachers working on the same issue on decades. This helped me realize the power of connection in the world of change making. We often believe that a change maker is someone steadfast. But when those connections were dead, I became unnecessary. Yes, but that is the ultimate goal. When I became unnecessary, I could function as the leader of them. Think about it. Wi-Fi isn't important because you see it all the time. It is important because everything collapses when it's gone. This is how systems should feel like. I wanted to be the Wi-Fi of this particular system. I wanted to make sure that this connection stays even after I step back. We often believe that change makers are a statue, cast in bronze on a pedestal. But that is just not the truth. We look at data, we look at the scale of the crisis, we look at the depth of the roots of systemic change. We see that this problem is huge and we are just tiny, not giant. I realize that I am a person with a teaspoon trying to move a mountain. But let me tell you a little secret. That statue, cast in bronze, cannot feel anything, but you can. This is the power of human empathy and compassion. People often wait till they're ready to act. People often wait for confidence or a plan. That's a myth. Clarity arrives only when you say yes to the messy, the unpredictable parts of starting your own journey. It's almost like dancing first at a wedding. For the first 30 seconds, You look ridiculous, dancing on a rhythm that only you seem to hear, while everyone else is silently judging you, sipping on their drinks from a safe distance. You feel like a localized disaster. But then, a person joins you, and then another one. And this ridiculous act of dancing becomes a celebration. The process of becoming a change maker is not gentle. It's almost as feeling the fire or the heat of a forge. It's the blistering friction between the world it is now and the world you think it can be. It is just the burning sensation, the burning of your ego from trying, failing, and trying again. Change making is not us going out to just understand change. We know that a change maker arrives not just when people notice or they are on the headlines. A change maker arrives before a problem, before a drive, before someone expects them to be there. For you, change making may look very, very different from mine. It may not look like a stage or a government program. For you, change making may look like improving a process at work, or stepping up when no one spoke, or building a bridge when there was just a wall. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how change makers are formed. Thank you.